Hello, this is Serge. Do you think what you have in your pocket and use to pay your day-to-day stuff is money? Surprise! This is not money. It is a fiat, or what is commonly called currency. Do you know the difference? Do you know that what you believe to be money loses value every single day of the year? Not knowing the difference keeps you poor no matter how much money you earn. Let's understand this together. Oh, by the way, do not forget to subscribe, like, and comment this video to be notified every time a new one comes out. Okay, to understand how money works, we must first know some definition. I understand this section may be hard, but unless you know this, the governments will continue stealing your wealth right under your nose. What is money according to Wikipedia? Money is an item or a verifiable record that is generally accepted as payment for goods and services and payment of debt. The main functions of money are distinguished as a medium of exchange, a unit of account, a store of value of some time, a standard of deferred payment. Any item or verifiable record that fulfills these functions can be considered as money. Because it is a store of value, it cannot be created at will, and therefore its supply is limited. According to Wikipedia, fiat is a currency or a medium of exchange established as money, often by government regulation. Fiat money does not have intrinsic value and does not have use value, meaning an inherent utility. It has value only because the party engaging in exchange agree on its value. It can be created at will. Its creation has no limit. Fiat comes and goes. Fiat exists only as a representation of real money, but it is not necessarily pegged to it. Let's look at the gold standard now. A gold standard is a monetary system in which the standard economic unity of account is based on a fixed quantity of gold. The International Gold Standard emerged in 1871 following its adoption by Germany. By 1900, the majority of the developed nations were linked to the gold standard. Most nations abandoned the gold standard as their basis for their monetary system at some point in the 20th century, although many still hold substantial gold reserve. We will see about this. Whew, that was boring and hard, right? But it was essential. Fiat is based on trust only. Fiat is something created at will by the governments around the world. Once it is created, people use it as a medium of exchange. This system is working only because we all agree that a certain piece of paper is worth something, and that this is why we can exchange a $5 bill for a loaf of bread or a pint of milk or something else. Unless everyone agrees on its values, a $5 bill is worth only the piece of paper that it is written on it. Therefore, the fiat or currency, meaning what you have in your pocket to pay stuff today, is a trust system only. If the trust is lost, it becomes useless. What do you think is happening with this trust since 2020, when governments around the world are creating fiat currency out of thin air? Was it always that way? No. For thousands of years, people around the world exchanged commodities by another commodity or services. Along the history, gold and silver were used as primary commodities to buy stuff because of their following characteristic. Their quantity is limited. It is hard to extract from the crust earth, and not many people can do this. It cannot be created at will, neither be replicated by anyone, not even the most powerful government. Therefore, it keeps its value over time. 1 ounce of gold or silver 5,000 years ago is still 1 ounce today. Nothing more, nothing less. Please, do not be confused. If you compare an ounce of gold or silver to fiat, the value seems to change, but be careful. It is not the gold or silver that change over time, but the value of the fiat that depreciate, meaning you need more fiat to buy the same thing. The gold standard was a very good way to limit governments in the expansion of their fiat money. Well, I mean fiat currency. So, why have we changed from the gold standard to fiat? There are multiple reasons for this move, but we will focus only on 2 today. The issue with silver and gold, or anything similar, are that 1. It is hard to store and hard to move around. Second, it is limited and therefore the government cannot manipulate it. Let's look at the first one. It is hard to store and hard to move around. The first point is very easy to understand. Simply put, try to imagine yourself walking around with 1 ounce of gold or its equivalent in silver in your pocket and do grocery with this. Imagine yourself receiving 5 pounds of silver every week instead of paycheck. For this reason, the governments around the world decided to keep the gold in storage for you and to give people the gold certificate instead. This is called paper money. Because those bills or gold certificate, meaning backed by real gold and redeemable at any time, the governments were unable to manipulate it. At this point, those gold certificates were still money because they were backed by gold. And in 1944, after the Second World War, the Bretton Woods Agreement was established as a major part of the countries around the world agreed to back their local money to the US money at a fixed exchange rate. From there, a lot of gold was sent to USA in exchange to the gold certificates. This was the first step of a master strategy. Now the USA, United States, became the world reserve currency. Remember, gold is hard to get and impossible to duplicate. Therefore, if there is a limit in gold, there is also a limit in gold certificate available and consequently a limit to the government spending. And this brings us to the second problem with gold or gold certificate. It is limited and therefore the government can't manipulate it. As the government needed more and more money, meaning more gold to pay for their spending like social programs, infrastructure like road, bridges, buildings and others, and the most important, to make wars to increase their political influence. The Bretton Woods Agreement was not flexible enough anymore as it was still backed by paper money or physical gold. The governments, especially the US government, needed a way to manipulate the money supply, and the only way was to end the gold standard. So, the United States President Richard Nixon suspended temporarily the conversion of gold certificate into physical gold. This temporary suspension to the conversion of gold occurred in August 1971. It doesn't change that the Bretton Woods Agreement remained in place as all currency around the world were pegged to the US dollar. But at that point, it became a true fiat, only a trust system because the money was not backed by anything. The announcement of Nixon was supposed to be a temporary measure, but we never returned to it. What was before a monetary system based on something real and tangible like gold, meaning something impossible to manipulate, became a fiat system based on trust only. Or if you prefer, a system based on nothing else than a blind faith in the government to do the right things and to never engage in fiat currency manipulation. And this change has a serious impact around the world today. Yes, even on you. What you have in your pocket today to buy stuff loses value every day because the government can't control themselves and have a bad habit to need more and more currency to spend every year. Oh, and please, do not forget to subscribe, like, comment this video to be notified every time a new one comes out. Now that we're trapped in the fiat system, the government are able to print out of thin air all currency they want. In fact, they're not even printing, they're just adding zeros in the computer. At this point, the government says the inflation is under control. But have you done grocery shopping lately? For the same $20, you buy much less grocery today than a year ago or 10 years or 20 years ago. Let's see this phenomenon through history. The history shows us that the equivalent of a 1903 $100 US is worth almost $3,000 today. Meaning, what was possible to buy with $100 in 1903 cost you almost $3,000. It's not that the money is worth more, it is because it's worth less. You need more to have the same thing. Why this is happening? Simple. Since the introduction of fiat, the government inflated the supply of it. Since there is more currency in circulation, people spend more. If people spend more, projects become more expensive. All in all, more money in circulation means more expensive the projects are. Please help me to share this information to others. Like, comment, and subscribe. Share with your friends through emails and others. I hope you understand the situation that we're in today. We need to protect our wealth. So watch my next video to know more about what to do with your currency. Until then, act now or dream on.